So here we're looking at the topic about importing and exporting data from Excel. This is an important topic. I'm trying to make sure the volume's set right here. This is an important topic because in the workplace, a lot of the data that will come to you that you work with in Excel will come from outside of Excel someplace. So where can it come from? Well, it may come from your company's database is the real common thing. When I work with my clients, we pull data from their databases, put it in Excel for analysis. From another department in your own company or organization, from a vendor or a customer. A vendor may send over price lists, customers could send over proposals or pricing and that kind of stuff. And then finally, a very common way these days is from the web. So you need to understand how to bring data into Excel so that you can do the kind of analysis that we're going to learn how to do in the coming weeks. Sometimes we'll also show you how to do exporting. It's pretty easy. Sometimes you need to share data with other people and you want to send it out of Excel into some other format. So the first thing we're going to look at is an import that has been around for 50 years, maybe even longer, but is still widely used, and it's called CSV format or comma separated value. So the data, the file that I've given you to download is this sales order 14-CSV. Notice that files ending in -CSV are actually given an Excel icon, and you can double click on them and open them in Excel. But sometimes you need to be able to import them directly. But let's take a look at what's the contents of a CSV file looks like. So what I'm going to do is simply click on that file in Windows Explorer, then right click and select Open With, and then just point at Notepad. Notepad's a little text editor that shows you what the contents of a file looks like. And here's what this CSV file looks like. The first row is column headers. So this says that we have 4 columns in this data: customer, sales date, the widget, and the price. Then from the second row on all the way down is the data itself. So the first item here is Phil's Filtration. That's the name of the customer. That corresponds to this column here. Then the date, sales date is here. Then widget is next. That's this field between these commas, 19 Barata or that stuff there. And then finally the price, which is out at the right. These files are sometimes kind of hard to read because they're ragged on the right. And if I scroll down, you can see how the lines are not uniformly of the same width. That's because we use what's called a delimiter, a comma here, to separate the individual values. That's why it's called comma separated values. And because of that, the line takes up only as much space as it needs in order to hold the data. So when you have a short name like Independence Tool here, the lines are shorter. So it's ragged on the right. So how do we bring this kind of file into Excel? Well, this is such a common format that Excel has a built-in feature for doing that. So let's go look at the spreadsheet here, and I'm in the Sales Order tab. Now, when you want to import from some other file type into Excel, you click on the Data tab, and then over here, Get External Data, and you get a list of different possible sources, and we want to say from text. So it says, okay, where's the file that you want to import? I'm going to go over to my download folder where I put these files. And here's our file. Notice that down here in this selection, it's preset to open up .pron, .txt, or .csv files. So I'll click on the CSV file, 14-salesorders.csv, and click on Import. Now what's going to happen is a wizard's going to pop up here that says, how is it that your data is organized? It says that says here the text will determine your data is fixed width. Actually, it's wrong. It's actually delimited. In a fixed width file, all the columns are of the same width no matter how little the data is. But this one is actually a delimited file, and if you look down here in the bottom of the screen, it shows you a little snapshot of what that data looks like. So I'm going to select delimited, and then I'm also going to select my data has headers because the first row is header names. Then click on Next, and it says, okay, well, how is it delimited? Now, even though CSV, the comma separated value, is the most popular kind on the planet by far, it pre-selects tab for reasons I don't understand. So I'm going to clear the tab because these are not tab separated values. And I'm going to click on comma. And when I do, watch what happens. It finds the commas in the file and organizes it into columns. So it sort of straightens out the columns. Let me just show you that again. If I clear the comma and put it back, it finds the commas and says, okay, well, that's one field, customer, sales date, widget, and price are additional fields. So that looks cool. Next, it allows you to set different data types on the columns. You don't generally need to do that because the import's pretty smart. So you click on Finish. And it says, well, okay, where do you want to put your data? I want to put it starting in A1. Click on OK. And poof. It's imported the file, and it's just that easy. You may want to widen up the columns and so on, but notice it treats this like date, and it treats that as, it treats this like money. It treats that like date. So at that point, I've got all the rows from that file imported into Excel, and I'm ready to go. So that's how you do an import from a comma-separated file, and the important thing to remember is about that file that the values in the file are separated by commas. It's been around for 50 years. It's still very popular. Part of the reason is it's extremely efficient. It doesn't give extra space where it's not needed, so the files tend to be small and can be easily transmitted around in email attachments and so on. So that's how you do a CSV import.